It's been 5 years since I lost my dog, my best friend. She meant everything to me, and it has hit me particularly hard this year. 5 years down the road. You would think maybe by now things will have mellowed out and I would be okay, but alas, grief does not work that way, unfortunately. Grief is not a linear thing, and I know I've spoken about this before in my previous video about losing a pet, but I just wanted to make a video about it because this has hit me really strongly this year. You know, as a comparison, for example, last year, 2024, yeah, I felt a bit sad on the day coming up to the anniversary of her passing, but it wasn't bad. This year, I started getting flashbacks, I started reliving it, I couldn't stop it. Some people aren't going to understand it and they're going to find this a major overreaction and going to find it really silly and stupid to still be feeling these feelings 5 years on, but I know that there's a lot of people out there who do struggle with it as strongly as I do, so this video is for them. And you know, they might not have people to relate to. Maybe they're scared as I am, sharing how it makes me feel for the fear of not being taken seriously by the people around you. But I just want you to know, if that is you, I really get it. I see you, you're not alone in that. Grieving a pet or an animal isn't really accepted in our society because in comparison to a human death, it doesn't compare. But what about people like me who feel it really deeply and who struggle with it and who it does affect? I know I get weekly comments on my last video about people who have lost their pet, so I know I'm not the only one, and I want you to know that you're not alone in that either. I see you and I feel you. Just picked up a camera on the day of our anniversary, speak very openly and vulnerably about how I'm feeling. So on the actual day, I felt like I needed to talk and I filmed this clip here. Be gentle with me, it is a very vulnerable clip, especially to show on the internet.
Forgive me for how I look. I was not expecting on picking up the camera today, but I just thought I would document this moment because grief isn't linear. Oh God. It's something that really affects me still, and I think it's safe to say that that's valid. If you feel it, then it's valid, okay? 13th of March 2020, we had to put my dog down, and that was horrendous for me because me and Holly, my dog, we were like besties. She would be the person that I would talk to when I was struggling. She's been gone 5 years now. Like, why is this hitting me so hard now? Again, last year it wasn't this bad. I acknowledged the day and I got through the day. But for some reason, today it's just really hitting me. I don't know, it's not quite the same as losing a person, but I don't think this thing gets spoken about enough. And I think it's almost society has kind of told us that these things aren't as important or they're not as valid, and I just wanted to come on here and say that it is. I think especially when you're really close with an animal. I don't know why it hits me more than anyone else in the family. Maybe I'm just a bit more of a sensitive soul to this sort of thing, or because I had a really strong bond with her. Can you believe it's been like 5 years and I'm like, I still miss her? God forbid what I'm gonna be like when one of my parents goes, because I'm not gonna be able to cope. But yeah, I just thought it was really important to sort of share these moments, because these kinds of things that, like I say, society kind of pushes down and makes us feel like we shouldn't be feeling these things so deeply or so strongly, and I just want you to know that it's valid. I think I've started to realise that I don't think I've really kind of processed it all the way through. I think what I've just been doing for the last 5 years is just pushing it down. Every time I feel like this sadness or grief come over me, I'm like, no, pushing it down, distract myself with something else, because that's what I did. Oh my God, when the first day she died and I came back to this house and it was just empty, I was desperate for any kind of distractions. I was on TikTok scrolling to just try and keep my mind off of it, but it's just, you know, numbing the pain for a while will only make it worse when you finally feel it, as Dumbledore would say. And I think that's what I've been doing, you know, over the past 5 years. And I don't know, she was just such a core part of my life and of the love I had. Obviously I can get through the days and get through the weeks and stuff, but just every now and again it just kind of hits me again. I think it's also important to remember that everyone grieves differently and everyone takes different amounts of time to grieve and to get over things. I just wanted to document this moment in case anyone else was feeling this way. I know I'm not the only one, and if that is you today, then I'm just sending you a big hug. It's valid, okay?
I actually wanted to film this in the garden today because she loved this garden. Running around, sleeping, snoozing, eating poo and barking at random leaves in the bush. Grief is just not a linear thing at all, and I really want to kind of normalise the fact that it's different for everyone, because I think I'm the only person I know who feels it really, really deeply. Most people around me are over it by now, you know, it doesn't affect them as much as it does me. I don't understand why I started getting really intense flashbacks this year, reliving the whole experience. Try and get through this without crying, but I feel a heavy weight of blame. I blame myself, and still do, for the way my dog died. It was, of course, obviously not intentional for what happened, but it still weighs on my chest to this day. You know, she was 16 years old. When a Labrador gets older, they are prone to arthritis and all that. And I came home to have lunch, because at that time I was a dog walker. So I came home to have lunch, and I actually had a call with Radio 2. It was a complete random out of the blue message that I got. Anyway, that's not the point, but the point is that I was really anxious to make sure I had the best signal, because in my house downstairs you get pretty bad signal if you're having a call, so upstairs is where to go. And I went upstairs, rushing upstairs to make sure that I was ready for this call with bloody Radio 2, which never happened in the end. 100% of the time she would follow me if I went upstairs, and so I would always wait for her to go up first and then I would follow her in case anything ever happened. But this time I didn't, because I was too busy preoccupied on thinking, oh my god, what have I got to say for this call, what have I got to do, I've got to get the best signal, blah blah blah. You know, in perspective it just seems pointless and meaningless. And I rushed upstairs for this call, and I heard Holly following me, of course, as she did. She never made it to the top of those stairs. I think she got, I don't know, maybe even like halfway up, and then I heard her fall down the stairs. I rushed down those stairs, and she was lying at the bottom of them. She was still alive, but her back legs had completely gone. She couldn't walk. There was one point where she tried to get up and went very stiff like a board, and then just fell sideways. Like, I don't know what the fuck that was, but since then she wouldn't eat anything, and that in itself is extremely unusual for a lab. If you know, you know. She was just not interested. It just went downhill very quickly from there, and we took her to the vets that evening. They said to give her the evening, see if she gets any better, but if she doesn't, then they would suggest euthanizing. It all happened so quickly. It was like one day she was fine, and then less than 24 hours later she was gone. It gives you no time to prepare, no time to process or work out what's going on. Less than 24 hours. That's all it took. And I still blame myself to this day. If I had only... One of the really painful things, you can't talk to them, you can't let them know what's happening, they can't let you know what's hurting or what's the problem is, and I think I found that really difficult. But at the same time, I know she knew that this was it. Like, she had completely given up. She was not herself at all. At that point, it's quality of life, and I think that's such a bloody difficult decision to make when, yeah, they're still alive, but they are suffering really badly. They might never walk again, and, you know, she lived a long life. I was so aware from about the age of 12. I became very aware this was not going to be a forever thing. But the one thing about being that aware is the fact that I really made sure to appreciate every moment I had with her, give her plenty of fuss, hugs, and maybe extra treats here and there, because I knew one day I wouldn't be able to do that with her. I remember there was one point when I came home for lunch, and instead of having lunch, I sat down on the floor and she came up to me and we just gave her fuss, and just remember I was just so present and aware in that moment, appreciated everything about her. So, if you still have your pet, dog, a cat, rabbit, rooster, guinea pig, I don't know, hamster, any pets, just please cherish them and give them an extra hug today. I know I've got comments on that previous video before about it's been some time since this video. How has it been since then? Does it get better, basically? And first, what I'm going to say to that is everyone is different with their grief. We're both going to feel it differently, but speaking from experience, both times of losing Holly and the cat Tim, it ebbs and flows, it comes and goes in waves. It's the best way that I can say it. And I feel like now, as the years go on, except from the last couple of weeks, which is when, the anniversary of her passing. Apart from that, I have felt that grief gets smaller. It's like I said in that last video with the big red button and the ping pong ball, and sometimes it hits it, you feel it, but you don't feel it as strongly, or at least that was the case for me. But then sometimes out of the blue, it's weird, it just affects you really strongly, to the point where you get flashbacks and you're in tears and you can't look at a photo of her without feeling it. So there's not a simple pattern or anything, just sometimes it hits you, sometimes you're stronger, and it's like, it's okay, I can take it, I can look at this photo and everything be fine, but sometimes it's just not. Oh my god, a bee! After she passed, I kept seeing this bee over and over again. And now just something in the back of my head was like, that she's come back as a bee. It's just so weird that I'm seeing a bee right now when it's cold, grey and gloomy. Those daffodils behind me are her daffodils. They're the ones that our neighbours kindly gave to us after she passed. And we planted them there. And every year around this time, when she died, they pop up. It's just a really nice homage. There was life with her and there's life without her. It's like a completely different life in some respects. But the world moves on, and it's difficult to move on with it when you're in that grief, for sure. It's okay if you only feel the grief for a couple of days and then it's gone. Whatever reaction you have is normal to you, and it shouldn't be judged by anyone else. The people who don't understand will never understand it, and that's okay because we are all very different. I feel like my heart is just a bit more fragile, a bit more delicate than other people's. Like they seem to have stitched their heart back together with no problems, and I've stitched it very poorly, and it comes undone sometimes and it tears, and sometimes it rips apart, and it's all too much again. Sometimes I wonder if I haven't processed this properly and I'm still holding on because I blame myself for it, and that guilt just eats away at you. And if you don't properly address that, then it's going to carry on eating away at you. Okay, yeah, you didn't follow her up the stairs, but if you weren't there at all and she had climbed those stairs with no one in the house, she could have been lying there for hours on her own. And I know that that is right and that is 100% true, but I still just tear myself apart because I didn't do what I usually did. So maybe I need to work on forgiving myself for that. At least twice a year I have dreams about Holly, and it's always the same theme of the dream where she's not actually dead, she is alive now, or she's come back from the dead and she's alive now. And then I wake up and I'm like, why, brain? Why? That is very cruel of my brain to do that, to give me all of this excitement and hope and joy and be like, oh no, she's not really dead, she's still here. To then wake up and be met with the cold, hard facts of the truth. And this year, on the day that she passed, I had a dream about her. Because all day I had been reliving everything, I'd been blaming myself, had the guilt, and that night I had a dream about her, and she came up to me and put her front paws on my leg and licked my nose, as though it was like, hey, it's okay, it's been 5 years, you can let this go now, you can forgive yourself. So there's that. So that's on dreams. Bees come back. I don't know if you can hear it. Oh my god, the bee's right there. Okay, I'm actually scared of bees. So 5 years on, and people will always ask the question of, will you get another one? I don't think I ever will. Personally, I know my boyfriend is looking into getting a cat, and I know that he really wants a cat again. Personally, it makes me feel quite emotional about getting another cat, and I think it's just, I don't know how I would go through with this whole grieving process again. I don't know how to do that. I think at this point, I don't think I could, personally. Basically, the whole point of this video is that grief is different for everyone. It ebbs and flows. It's painful and erratic. You can't predict the pattern. It just shows up sometimes and you can't escape it. And that has been my experience this year, for sure, 5 years down the line. And it still makes me emotional. Even if my boyfriend mentions Tim, the cat, I automatically get emotional. I do start welling up sometimes. And even to myself, I think, oh, you should have moved on by now. But I think with that kind of love, when you love an animal so deeply, it's not just move on, forget about it. For me, personally, I know everyone deals with it differently. That kind of love is irreplaceable. I mean, they say, don't they, that grief is the absence of love. You know, when you love something so deeply and then it's gone, maybe it just shows how deeply you loved that animal, that pet. I just want you to know that if it's been a day, a month, a year, 5 years, 10 years, and you still feel this grief, it is so valid. And don't let anyone tell you that it's not. I really believe in that, and I feel like so many people are invalidated by the grief of a pet, and I just want you to know that it's okay and it's real. One of the most painful things that we did after Holly had passed, we had her ashes come back in a spot, and we didn't do anything with them for I think 2 years, and then we decided to bury her ashes right here to the right of me. I think my mum and dad dug a hole and they opened it, and it wasn't even ash. They were like big lumps of white bits and brown bits and like a bone. It was a really traumatic thing for me to see. It was once my best friend. That was once my baby, and now that's all that's left. I wish I'd never seen that. I would not recommend that if you are a sensitive, fragile soul like me. We buried her under the holly bush that we have in our garden, and there's like a little paw print that's hung up on the holly bush. It's weird to think that like she's just there, you know, she's just there. And I just really miss her. Like even sitting in this garden right now, I can almost just see her. You know, just laying on the garden, having a snooze or sniffing around the bushes. If she was here today, she would come and sit down here with her back to me, and I'd give her some fuss. And she'd have something to say if you stopped, let's just say that. I really just wanted to make this video to let you know that it's still valid, even 5 years on, even 10 years on. But I just wanted to be a safe space for the people who do feel the grief of their pet very deeply. Because you guys are the only people I know who have struggled with it as deeply as I have. I don't know anyone in real life who is like me. You know, it kind of got to a point this year leading up to the day where I would just be filled with so much anxiety every time I saw a picture of her. There's 2 photos in my room of her, one portrait painting and another really old black and white photograph of her when she was a little puppy. Let alone walking around the house, there's pictures of her, there's photos here, there's a canvas there, and then of course on my phone I have a photo shuffle thing, and then of course iPhone is like, on this day 500 years ago. Oh, and I'm like, okay, great, thanks iPhone. Read the room. Some things were really difficult this year, and other years they weren't. It does get better. You learn to live life without them. And I know if you've just lost them, you don't want to live life without them. I get that, but you just naturally do. I just wanted to make this video to help the people out there feel less alone with their grief, and to let you know that it is valid, and it is real, and it's okay to feel this way. And I'm proud of you for getting this far and for acknowledging that it is difficult and letting yourself feel those emotions, because the more you push it down, the harder it is. Honestly, let it go, let it out, cry. I will give you a hug and you can cry. We can cry together. And if you have made it this far, I'm sending you the biggest hug. I really am. Anyway, if you are new around here, these are not my usual types of videos. I make weekly vlogs, I chat about mental health and anxiety and just really nonsense sometimes, I'm going to be honest. But maybe check them out first, see if you like the vibe, and stick around if you want to. No pressure though. Thank you so much for watching, and of course I will see you in the next one.